At the outset, sorry for the delay, there was a technical problem. As usual, let us start with the snippets. What is the first one here? Allegations over OCCRP. US State Department should clarify. There are two words you have to focus on. First one, allegations. Allege means what? Because of a technical problem, Sanjay Yadav. I know you are not happy, but sometimes you have to understand. There was a technical issue, that's why it got delayed. Focus on the editorial analysis and other enrichment. Allege is a verb form, allegation noun form. What does it mean? Say that someone has done something wrong without evidence. Here you should also recollect the word accusation. Allegations and accusations. And there is another word which is a model helping verb, should. Should has two functions. You understand? Okay. You have to wait sometimes. When you want something, you have to wait. And coming to should, what are the two functions? One function, it is used to advise or suggest someone. Second function, it is used to express a possibility, but the chances are less. Old English, formal situation, we would use ought to. You ought to be punctual, you ought to be diligent. Informal, should. But in Western countries, ought to has become outdated. Formal or informal, we use should. You should. Don't use V1 in this session. Who is this Nagashri? Looks like you are a new student. Don't use V1, V2, V3 approach. I don't use that approach. I don't encourage my students. I tell them not to use at any cost in my presence. Please don't use. Coming to the second snippet, drug smuggling racket. When it comes to drugs, you have to think of words like drug addict, rehabilitation center, hallucination, and different types of drugs are also there, the words exam point of view. And India quizzes Musk's Starlink for clues in drug case. Here quizzes means questions. Intoxication goes more with drinks. Drugs we use the word hallucination, and drinks we use the word intoxication, difference between the two. Quizzes means interrogate, clues, some sort of proof they wanted in drug case. Haiti crisis, 184 killed in violence in Port-au-Prince. Simple words. Crisis singular, what is a plural? You have to, drug trafficking, drug peddler. One who supplies drugs, what is the word? Drug peddler. And the act is called, like human trafficking, drug trafficking. What is a plural? Crisis singular, crisis plural. That you have to recollect. Places and worship. Supreme Court hearing may decide future of secularism. Verdict, verdict means judgment, may have an impact on many cases. May have. May is also a model helping verb, and it has two functions. What is the first one? It is used to express permission, and it is very formal and polite. For example, may I come in, sir? That is the first function. What is the second function? It is used to express a possibility. Chances are more. Chances are less, we use might, could, and should. That you have to recollect. Seesaw battle. Seesaw battle. If you go to kids' park, you see seesaw. Up sometimes, down sometimes. So seesaw battle. Sometimes the one competitor wins. Next time another competitor wins. Then we, based on that, Ding beats Gukesh in game 12, draws level. This has been going on for quite some time. Let us go to the main headline. What does it say on the front page of the Hindu? Government still working. Here actually the complete sentence, government is still working. It is the present continuous, but keywords are used in the headline. Government still working, says Syria PM. Israel hit suspected weapon sites. easy words. Tamil Nadu Assembly adopts a resolution against mining. Adopts resolution. Adopt, adapt, you have to recollect. Adopt means take something. Adopt a child. You take someone's child and make yours legally, adopt a child. Adopt a system, you can use that also. Adapt means to get used to. I got adapted to American lifestyle, means what? I got used to, accustomed to, that also you have to recollect. 2 words against mining. Lok Sabha adjourned. Adjourn means temporarily cancel, postpone, in a blink. We have an important phrase here. In a blink means within no time. Blink, close and open eyes. In a blink means within no time. That is a meaning, an important expression. Seen no different in Rajya Sabha. Same thing happened there also. Pinarayi denies Amit Shah's claim over delay in aid. Deny has 2 meanings. So he denies someone's claim, means what? Refuse someone's claim. But deny has 2 meanings. One is refuse, the other one is to say no to something. Deny the offer. India calls for inclusive political process in Syria. Here we have a phrasal verb. What is it? Call for. Call for means to demand. India demands what? Inclusive political process, taking into consideration all the stakeholders, all the parties involved, all the groups involved. Then we use the word inclusive, an important word. Misri visits Dhaka, airs concerns, means expresses concerns. In this context, what is the meaning of the word airs? Expresses concerns. Concern is an important word because there is a common error. A lot of people say, I want to meet the person concerned. That is the actual sentence. They tend to say, I want to meet the concerned person. That is wrong. Don't say concerned person, say person concerned. Means related to that particular department or work. Concerns over safety of minorities, simple words. Reservation must not be based on religion, Supreme Court tells West Bengal. Must not be based. Answer my question. Is it active voice or passive voice? Must not be based on religion. We must not base something on religion. Something must not be based on religion. Very good. It is passive voice. That you have to recollect. And what are the 2 functions of must? It is used to express a personal obligation imposed by the writer or the speaker. It is also used to convey the idea something is compulsory. Provide details of all properties burnt and looted, an important word, loot, plunder, loot. During violence, SC to Manipur. Other words are easy words. And there's an important news snippet over here. Under current affairs, this is what you have to focus on. Union government names Sanjay Malhotra as RBI governor. So here we have the incumbent RBI governor. See, the incumbent means present. Shaktikanta Das, his tenure is going to get over. And the new RBI governor, Sanjay Malhotra. This is an important news item from current affairs point of view. That's all about today's editorial. Today, lack of time, I could not bring the regular pattern. Let us go to the editorial. An important one. Give me a second. What is today's editorial about? Places and worship. Yes. Places and worship, not easy to understand, but you have to read the next sentence. Supreme Court hearing may decide future of secularism in India. There is one important word. What is that word? Though we have got many a time, secularism. You all know the meaning of the word secular. India is a secular country. What does it mean? We don't have any official religion. We respect all religions. So this is all about places and worship. Supreme Court hearing may decide future of secularism in India. To provide the background information, now around the country, if you look across the country, some people have filed cases saying that in the past there were temples, they have been at the time of invasion. Invaders converted them to mosques. Based on that, case has been filed. This is all about that. And an important one because it deals with a key word like secularism. Let us see how it starts. A special branch of the Supreme Court of India, headed by Chief Justice of India Sanjeev Khanna, will begin hearing on December 12 a batch of petitions that question the validity of places of worship, Special Provisions Act 1991, a law that freezes the status of places of worship in the country as on the day of its independence and bars the suits that seek to alter such status. A very lengthy sentence, but what does it mean in a nutshell? It is about a case. What is a case that has been filed? Conversion of temples into mosques. But there is a particular act. What is that act? This act is Special Places of Worship Special Provision Act 1991. This act, this law that freezes the status of places of worship in the country as on the day of its independence and bars the suits that seek to alter such status. 1991, they decided on the day of independence, whatever the status, they froze that status. Now, if someone files a case, that cannot be considered if they try to alter. And regarding that hearing, based on that, what does the editorial say? It is no exaggeration. Exaggerate means what? To magnify something. It is no exaggeration to say these petitions pose a virulent challenge to the survival of secularism. So this case, this challenge, what is it? In the past there were temples converted into mosques, so we have to consider and convert them back to temples. But if you take the 1991 Act, Independence Day, whatever the status was, that was frozen. They froze and that status cannot be altered. Though exceptions are there. The editorial touches the exceptions also. And based on this, the editorial opines, it is no exaggeration to say these petitions pose a challenge, violent challenge to the survival of secularism. Secularism, survival of secularism is at stake. The outcome may well decide the trajectory. Here trajectory means the direction, the path, the outcome of whatever the court says. The outcome may well decide the trajectory of communal relations and the future of secular thought in the country. It is going to make a deep or profound virulent challenge means something negative, bad. Virus is always bad. You guys know the word virus. Based on that, this word has been used. Negative impact. You have to take it that way. It is going to make a tremendous impact, huge impact, profound impact. Now it talks about the 1991 Act. The 1991 Act does have some exemptions. As I said, there is an act. What is that act? At the time of independence, militias also, you can say, very good warrior. They decided, based on 1991 Act, whatever the status was, they decided to freeze that status. And no one can touch, change, try to alter the status. But that act also has exceptions. A writer wants to give us examples for the exceptions. It did not apply to here. The 1991 Act does have some exemptions. It did not apply to what was then the Babri Masjid Ram Janmabhoomi dispute, which ended in favor of the Ram temple. We all know this. One exception, they did not apply that 1991 Act to Ram Janmabhoomi dispute, and it went in favor of the temple, Ram temple. Nor does it apply to monuments. One more exemption, it does not apply to monuments, a few things. Nor does it apply to monuments, sites and remains covered by the Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act 1958. Whatever comes under 1958 Act related to ancient monuments and archaeological sites, this law is not, this act is not applicable. 1991 Act is not applicable. They come under exemptions. One more area, it will also not apply to any suit that has been finally settled or disposed of, any dispute that has been settled by the parties before the 1991 Act came into force, and to the conversion of any place that took place by acquiescence. It is not applicable, something decided before 1991 Act, then that also not applicable. Now you cannot touch that one. And there is one important word, not only that, before the 1991 Act came into force, or to the conversion of any place that took place by acquiescence. Acquiescence means to accept something without protest, to accept something reluctantly. Reluctantly you accept it, then that cannot be altered. That comes under exemption. 3 areas have been listed out. What is the challenge now? The challenge has come in the backdrop of a renewed attempt through motivated litigation by some Hindu or organizations and devotees to target mosques such as the Gyanvapi Mosque in Varanasi, the Shahi Eidgah Mosque in Mathura and the Shahi Jama Masjid in Sambhal, recently in the limelight, among others. Why this has come into the limelight? Some people tried, they have filed cases saying that some areas of controversy, in the sense, now they are being considered mosques, but in the past they were temples, so that should be considered and they should be converted back into temples. And 3 examples have been given, and the last one is in the limelight. Any order that strikes down or dilutes the 1991 law is likely to have a malign influence on these proceedings. This is a stand taken by the editorial. What is the stand taken by the editorial? Any change or anything that goes against 1991 Act is going to make a negative impact. Any order, any judgment that strikes down or dilutes the 1991 law is likely to have a malign influence, means negative influence, bad influence on these proceedings. What do they say? The petitions highlight the demolition of temples by invaders in the past and contend that many mosques have been built on their ruins. What is the bone of contention? What is the apple of discord? Though the plaintiffs, what is their argument? And those who filed the cases, what is their stand? They say many temples were destructed at the time of invasion, and because of the destruction, obviously whatever you see, we use the word ruins, remains of the monuments. On those remains, on those ruins, they built the mosques. This is a stand taken by those who filed the cases. The sentence clearly states the stand taken by the petitioners. The petitions highlight the demolition of temples. By whom? By invaders in the past, and argue that many mosques have been built on their ruins. Their argument is many mosques have been built on the ruins of the temples demolished by the invaders. The Places of Worship Act, they claim, legalizes such depredations, an important word. Depredation means a plunder. We have got one word, looting, plunder. Loot usually goes with, imagine there's a crowd and there's a protest. The crowd goes out of control, then it is difficult to control the crowd. then the people, the mob, what they do, they attack the shops. Whatever they get in a particular shop, they take it away. And that is known as looting, looting the shops. But plunder has subtle difference, a different meaning. Plunder, imagine invasions. Some foreign forces enter the country, they take the treasures of a country. Then we use the word plunder. Loot is a simple word, plunder, higher level. This talks about that. What they say, the Places of Worship Act, they claim, legalizes such depredations. Based on that act, they say it legalizes, the act legalizes the plundering by invaders, and also violates the right of Hindus and other communities to reclaim their places of worship through legal proceedings. There are two problems over here. One is legalizing the act of plundering by the invaders, at the same time denying the rights of Hindus to get back their places of worship, and also violates the right of Hindus and other communities to reclaim, get back their places of worship through legal proceedings. It also violates the right to practice and propagate religion and manage and administer places of worship. It also violates something they feel. What does it violate? It also violates the right to practice and propagate religion and manage and administer places of worship. Ironically, there's an important word. What is the meaning of ironically? Paradoxically, ironically. Two things, positive and negative, exist at the same time, then we say it is a paradoxical situation. Ironical, irony, exactly. Ironically, they also contend, here contend means argue, that the act goes against the principle of secularism. Here the editorial says the judgment, whatever the verdict is going to be, it is going to make a profound impact on the concept of secularism. And these people who filed the case, they say it goes against the concept of secularism. That is a bit strange, that is ironical. Ironically, they also contend that the act goes against the principle of secularism, which would surely stand to be undermined. Undermine means weaken, to make something weak, undermine. Would surely stand to be undermined if their attempts to reclaim these sites succeed. This is a stand taken by the editorial. If these guys succeed, it would undermine the concept of secularism. Fortunately, there are some clearly established principles in favor of the act. These people have filed a case against the act, but the editorial tells us there are certain things in favor of the act. Fortunately, there are some clearly established principles in favor of the act. What are those? In its Ayodhya judgment, a 5-member bench observed that the law imposes a non-derogable, an important word. Derogable, remember the word derogatory, I have given many a time. Derogatory means insulting, feel something is inferior. From that word you get same meaning. Non-derogable obligation towards enforcing our commitment to secularism. Something imposes, what imposes? That the law imposes a non-derogable obligation towards enforcing our commitment to secularism. It also called it a legislative intervention that preserves non-retrogression as an essential feature of our secular values. There is one important word here. What is that word? Retrogression. Retrogressive means going back. Here non-retrogression means we cannot go back and change something. Already they have been frozen. It also called it a legislative intervention that preserves non-retrogression, means we cannot change the past, as an essential feature of our secular values. For the present, it does not seem likely that the court will depart from the Constitution's secular vision. This is the opinion of the editorial. Court may not accept, may not change the stand. For the present, it does not seem likely that the court will depart from the Constitution's secular vision and Parliament's mandate against misusing judicial fora to remedy historical wrongs. It may not depart from that. Parliament's mandate, mandatory means what? Compulsory. Against misusing judicial fora There's one word here, forum singular. Here it means a platform for a plural. To remedy historical wrongs. We cannot do that, already frozen based on 1991 Act, and at this juncture they cannot go back, because whatever happened, the Act and the stand taken in the past, they don't go against the secular values. They go with the Constitution's secular values. Based on that, the last sentence talks about the same thing. The court may not, it doesn't seem likely that the court will depart. Means the court will not depart from one thing, the Constitution's secular vision and Parliament's mandate against misusing judicial fora to remedy historical wrongs. They will not do. And it ends on that particular note. That's all about today's editorial. Not easy to comprehend, but an important editorial, because it deals with the concept of secularism, it deals with places of worship, and whatever I have said, the analysis based on the editorial. Nothing is personal here, and nothing is personal here. And do remember, based on the editorial, I do the analysis. It is completely objective analysis, not subjective. Subjective means personal. It is not personal. Objective means based on facts and figures, based on what the editorial says. That's all for today. For today, no exercise. Lack of time I could not bring. Tomorrow, the regular pattern, you will have the vocab part, editorial analysis, and practice questions based on exam topics, mini mocks. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.